welcome to Let's KeKe episode 6. I'm super excited to start off episode 6 and getting into the creative spirit because I too, as a creative, am inspired by this next guest. His name is Austin Abdo, and he is a creative director as well as a key assistant location manager. So he's based out of Georgia. I'm from Georgia, so let's vibe together. Give a virtual clap for Austin.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, can't complain.
Well, thank you for your time and energy for being here today. And as I said before, you are also a Georgia native from Marietta, is that correct?
I am born and raised. Yeah.
And where are you based out of now? Are you still in Georgia or are you elsewhere?
Yeah, I'm still in Marietta. I've been wanting to do film work, honestly, since about fourth grade. And for the longest time, I thought that I was going to move to LA. But I graduated high school in 2012. So around that time was when you were a couple seasons into Walking Dead and everything started booming here. So after college, 2016, I made the decision. I was like, it'll be cheaper to live in Georgia and the industry is still booming. I have an older brother that works out in LA as well. So kind of saw the things he was experiencing and I was like, I'll just experience that here.
And when you went to school, did you go to school directly for it? Like you knew this is what you wanted to do, being in the film industry?
I did, yeah. So I went to film school. I went to University of North Carolina School of the Arts. It's where Jada Pinkett Smith went for a little bit. David Gordon Green, who directed Pineapple Express and a couple of HBO shows like Righteous Gemstones, along with Danny McBride. So it's got a lot of alumni that are still working in the industry. So that was really appealing. Awesome.
And you said you've been doing this, passionate about this since the fourth grade. Did your family kind of steer you in that direction, or you was immersed in it?
Yeah, so my dad has kind of always been, he's a serial entrepreneur. He's owned a couple of restaurants. He's owned some comedy clubs. He's managed comedians like Matt Rife, Ricky Smiley. So I've kind of grew up in the entertainment industry in that sense. But when I was in fourth grade, my brother at our middle school, Mabry Middle School, they did their own version of the Oscars every year. Mm-hmm. And so my brother's middle school best friend Matt, they wanted to make a movie for that film festival in a sense, and so that we made Remember the Alamo, and I remember helping them film that, and there was a scene where he gets shot while he's running, and it's really dangerous. Don't do this at home. Yeah. Very reckless. But I remember them attaching a piece of wood, like a 2x4 or whatever, the flat piece of wood. I'm a director, not a construction guy. They attached it to his chest with a blood squib and a firecracker and shot it in slow motion. It blew up, the blood shot out. And then I remember seeing it while they were editing it. And I was like, that's really cool. I think it's kind of in my realm of what I want to do. This, I'm not a 9-to-5 type of person. This is kind of right up my alley.
Yeah, I agree with you about that. It's I'm a serial entrepreneur as well. I'm always coming up with the ideas and stuff. I'm like, okay, let me focus on one thing. Let's KeKe. Let's do this right now.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, podcasts are becoming not becoming, they already are the next big thing. And there's so many different avenues that need it. And especially with creatives of ourselves. I mean, we're unfortunately in a society now, I don't want to mention it because she's already all over the internet, but the Hakatua girl, it's crazy seeing somebody, now has 1 million followers on Instagram and is getting paid promotions to just because of a thing she said. But yet there's plenty of creatives out there like you and I, and people that are far better at, directing and videography than I am, that no one knows about. So I think it's important, and it's a cool podcast to have.
Awesome. Appreciate that. I'm inspired to keep going. And going a little bit back, diving a little bit back here. When did you really say, okay, I'm going to create my own company? When did that aha moment happen for you?
So I went to college for directing and editing. So I had kind of those skills developed pretty well. About 2020. So sorry, let's rewind real quick. 2017, I moved to Georgia. I started working in the locations department, which has taught me a lot and has been very beneficial for my company. And we'll touch on that a little bit later. But I worked on TV shows like Sharp Objects, every season of Stargirl, which is a CW superhero show. Worked on Shazam 2, plethora of other things. And so a lot of that was more on the producing side. In the locations department, we handle scouting locations. So figuring out, if they're looking for a house or a barn, finding those locations, seeing, how much it's going to cost, presenting that to the director, and the DP, and then handling essentially everything that needs to be done in order for you to be filming there. So like permitting, logistics, all that stuff. So fast forward to last year when COVID 2020, when things shut down, I was doing what a lot of other people were doing, sitting at home, just playing video games, yada, yada. But, I was like, well, why don't I try and start doing like getting back to my roots? Cause I kind of lost sight of that, just making money, providing for my family and all that. So I bought, my computer to edit with, my camera and a really small lighting package. And so, and it's crazy how the universe works. As soon as I got all that gear and, started just filming just random things here and there, my sister-in-law's roommate, Adara Hairston, she's a R&B singer. They came from town to visit. She wanted to do a music video, so that was like the first thing that I filmed and kind of reignited that passion. Now, when COVID ended and the film industry came back, it was full-fledged. I mean, it was constant work for 3 years, so I lost sight of that again. Until last year when the writer's strike happened. I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm getting back into it, and this time I'm not going to give up. I know I'm going to be tired, but that's what it takes to grind. So I've been kind of doing stuff for my company, as well as my film job, and it's been kind of a blessing. I mean, even though the writer's strike is over, there's still 2 unions that have negotiations. So with that being said, a lot of the studios haven't come back in full force again. There's probably about, I'd say 20 to 30 productions, which sounds like a lot, but this market is very saturated. So, I haven't worked in locations since March, but my company has allowed me to like creatively have that fulfillment of like doing what I've always wanted to do and have that passion reignited, as well as, being able to sustain financially and help my family out.
Wow. Something powerful you said. It's like, I feel like during that pandemic point, like you said, we had no choice but to sit down with ourselves and like really like become introspective. And that's the thing that we talk about on the show too. It's like our purpose. And, it's like you kept getting redirected back to like, don't forget about you. Don't forget about your light. Don't let that dwindle. Yeah. So it is amazing how the universe can work and redirect us. Sometimes we're like, I don't know. It's hard work.
It is. And, I was just talking to my dad about this the other day, actually, is even now, like there's always something that I can do to be like practicing or getting better or finding clients of that sort. But it's funny how like when you become stagnant, like if you're, for instance, with my company, I have an Instagram, like I could be building that following and all that, but there's times where it's like going to the gym. I know I don't look like someone that goes to the gym, but I know the theory of it where no one loves to go to the gym. Sometimes even, the most ripped people out there, like it's hard for them to like get that courage to get off the couch and be like, all right, I got to go do leg day today. And it's the same principle when it comes to art. Like you can always be honing your skills. And if you stay with that and you start doing things that are beneficial to your art or your business, I hate sounding like that hippie guy, but the universe really does represent a lot of opportunity to you. And I find that anytime that I'm stagnant, my phone is silent. Like, I don't hear from people, I don't do anything, like whatever. But as soon as I like go to my computer to start editing, or I am out and about, or I plan a vacation, I get a call for, hey, we're a home builder and we need, a promo done. And it's crazy. It's like the universe knows you're putting the time in, so it's going to give you those options.
Yeah, do, and you'll be rewarded for it.
Exactly.
Somebody told me before, it's like, even if you're like not an artist or you don't draw or anything, just get a blank canvas and just start painting or just drawing, like doing anything just to get that mojo, because you're in that element of being creative, even if you think you're not creative. It just like, you gotta get that mojo going.
Exactly. Yeah. And you might not realize that you love to paint until you do.
Yeah, exactly. Just try it out.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd be surprised. And I know, like, here in Georgia, like every time I drive somewhere, there's a sign that someone is like filming something. Like, what are some of your favorite locations that you've found before?
Gosh, that's such a loaded question. I guess the one thing that comes to mind, like, so I mean, Sharp Objects was really cool. It was an HBO show with Amy Adams, very dark. But I got to live in Barnesville, Georgia, which it's super south, very like train track divided town. But all in all, it was a cool experience because HBO, they had a fairly large budget, and that was my first experience of working within a whole town and trying to mediate between a production and multiple businesses and homeowners. But as far as coolest location I found, it's not like extremely cool. I just felt very proud of it. On Stargirl season 3, the showrunner wanted to find, his name's Jeff Johns. He actually wrote Stargirl, but he also wrote the first Shazam. And he wanted to find a house for the Green Lantern character that resembled somewhat the same house from Shazam that they lived in. However, that was filmed in Philadelphia, and we were here in Atlanta. But I remember I was looking all over the place. All of the other locations guys were giving them options that just weren't cutting it. And, I was driving home because I live in Marietta, and there was a bunch of traffic. So got off the highway and it had me cut through Marietta Square, and I missed a turn. So I turned down this side street, and there was this house. I don't want to name the street because I don't want to have people. It was on the street, and I was like, oh my God, this kind of looks like that option. So I got out. It was magic hour, so the lighting was like perfect. So I took all these photos, and the angle that I showed, like the photo with the angle I showed to the director and the showrunner, they ended up mimicking verbatim when they actually shot there. Yeah. So that was like really satisfying to see, like in the actual show, like, wow, like, I kind of know what I'm doing, because look what they're doing right now. So that was a really cool experience. But I mean, all in all, I've gotten to go to every avenue. I've been in the hood in Atlanta. I've been into multi-million-dollar mansions off of Tuxedo Road, abandoned places. Like I got to go into Emory Briarcliff, which is where they shot Hawkins Laboratory for Stranger Things. So I've gotten to go to all sorts of cool locations. Some of them you have to hire a team to abate, which means like get rid of like asbestos and stuff. And I was like, cool, I was in here before that happened. Concerning. But no, I mean, it's a cool experience, especially in my department. I get to meet a lot of people I never would meet on an average day, and get to call back on them. Like I'm prepping for a music video shoot with a really talented musician. His name's Eli, and he told me he doesn't really have a budget. I was like, that's fine, we'll figure it out. What do you have in mind of what you want to film? And he's like, a warehouse. And I was like, cool. That's usually like 15 to 20 grand a day to film at a warehouse, but I know somebody that's a site rep at a warehouse, so let me reach out to them. And showed them some of his songs that he played live, and just kind of gave them the spiel that I've learned in locations, and they're letting us film there for free.
Wow.
just kind of got to work around like if there's any film that's going to be there. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, even though like I kind of strayed away from directing and being a camera person, the locations aspect of it all has taught me how to produce my own content, but also how I need to be able to squeeze my way into places legally that you wouldn't really have the opportunity or know how to finesse if you just kind of did it on your own. And that's important to me. I have a 2-year-old daughter, I'm 30, I got a house, I got a mortgage. I don't got time for lawsuits and breaking and entering. So like I try my hardest to finesse whatever needs to be done to get it done, but properly.
And that's amazing because like the set and the location that like really catapults like the movie, the video, whatever. Like it sets the energy and the standard for everything.
Its own character. You get that.
Wow. And so like I know with set locations and directing, and I think like what we don't realize like along our journey sometimes is like sometimes what we invest our time in, like doing the locations, it just pays off in the future, like stuff that we don't think about that might make sense in the future. And then you're like, hey, I know how to do that. Like, you're making things happen with all your experiences. That's why I say you learn from everybody you meet. You learn from every job you work at, like take notes of everything you do.
100%. It's funny you say that. There's another, so I primarily recently I've been working with a lot of musicians, investing my time and energy into the music that I like. So if I hear, an artist that has a song that I think is dope, then I'm trying my hardest to work with them because in hopes that, when their career starts to take off, that they'll remember the things I've done with them and I already have an in it. I mean, it's kind of, it's how Matt Rife's videographer is with him now. I mean, he started helping Matt out years ago and all that. But anyway, so I was filming some promos with Micah, which I think is the promo you saw for Get Back, where he's in the field playing guitar. There's a couple stuff that's not released yet. But we were filming at his place and we were on the roof, like, he was playing and I was filming, and he randomly was like, hey, it'd be so cool as if like we could have 3 of me playing the different instruments and like singing. He's like, can we do that? And I just did a music video like 6 months prior where I did a green screen where the guy was playing different instruments. I was like, yeah, dude, all you have to do is this. I'll keep the camera here and let's go. And if I had never done that in the previous video, I would have had to YouTube it. I mean, I kind of know the concept already, but like, YouTube University for the win. But if I didn't have that experience, it would have taken me a lot longer in that moment to set things up and make sure it was done properly. However, everything's just been like universally built upon each other with every project I do, which is helpful and cool.
Because you're moving in your purpose and the universe is just like, here you go.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, let's like dive in and like actually see some of your examples of your work, because I'm sure everybody's interested in seeing your beautiful work.
Sure.
Here. Is there anybody in the future that you're like, that I'm definitely working with that person?
Yeah. So Edgar Estevez, he's kind of he's way further along in his career than I am, but he's kind of had I'm having a similar route I feel that he's had. And he's directed all of Russ. He's a rapper. He's directed all of his music videos. But back when Russ, before his career took off, he reached out to him, DM'd him on Instagram, was like, dude, I love your music. Like, have you shot anything for your music? And he's like, no. And he's like, cool, I want to shoot it all. Let's do it. Let's do it. So he started doing that. Russ blew up. He directed like high budget music videos for us. And now he owns his production company called Blank Square Productions, I believe is what it's called. But I mean, he's done Doja Cat now, like all that stuff. So it's just cool seeing, the passion start from a Instagram DM and all the way up to his own production company, doing big tier stuff, Cool. Yeah, I should have updated this a little bit because I have a couple of things that aren't on there anymore. But so Mike Sims, my buddy Ali, who back in 2020, he was kind of my counterpart in the starter industry. he's partnered up with Mike Sims here. He's partnered up with Mike Sims, and Mike Sims is an Atlanta-based fashion designer. So he hit me up a couple months ago and said that they had a big fashion shoot that they wanted to do. So he asked me if I can do it. Of course, he asked if I could do it in vertical format, which is something like, it's a different beast than horizontal for sure. Different camera rigs and all of that, but that's what Instagram and socials call for. But that very first one that you were on, that's actually my garage. I just kind of set up a whole shoot studio, backdrop, lighting, all that. So it's funny. It's like, it looks like a professional studio, but it's really like a 20 by 20 garage that I just making it look really nice. Yeah, so those are the two promos I shot for him, which they were a lot of fun to do. And Zach Spade up there, he's a rapper based out of Atlanta. But I went to like a comedy urban music festival and I randomly met him there, and I was like, dude, let me just shoot you a quick recap promo. So that was pretty cool to do. And he ended up taking me to Nashville about 4 months ago. He performed at a Rick Ross concert with a bunch of other artists. So we shot like a quick music video in Broadway Street in Nashville. And, I got to photograph Rick Ross, which is on my Instagram. He actually liked it, which was pretty cool to see. So that's Zach Spade. But, Life Romanticized a little bit lower. That's kind of my example of like, even though at that time I didn't have like an actual gig to shoot, and I would actually like to click on it and listen to it, but I didn't have like a gig or anything. But we went to an apple orchard with my daughters and my mom and my stepdad. So I was like, why not just film something this year?
Wow.
Nothing crazy, but I learned from that. I was trying a different technique out where you have I love to shoot in horizontal, but a lot of Instagram reels, their algorithms based off of vertical format. So I was like, well, why not put my horizontal stuff, but place them? I found actually that my video was getting triple the views than normal because everyone would focus on a specific tier. And then they'd be like, oh shit, what was in the other one? So let me go back. So I need to, self note there. I need to start doing that again.
It's just cool how I saw this one too, like how it's like introspective, how you go into the TV here.
Oh yeah. You can play the sound too. This is Mac McComb. He's another artist that I'm working with now. This was just like he wanted to do a live studio session. He plays all of his instruments on loop. But again, I think a lot of people think that they have to go fancy with their art and videography. And sometimes it's just the most simple stuff that is fun to watch.
Yeah, because it's like nostalgic to me.
Yeah.
Like it kind of makes you I'm a part of it too, like immersed in it.
Right, exactly. And I was trying to give it like a 90s VHS vibe. Like the discoloration, like his skin color is kind of a little odd, but it kind of matches the tone of the song too. That's Mac McComb. I've done a couple of live recordings like this with him, and he actually used to be a stage manager at Black Hall Studios. So that's how we met. And then I randomly came across him on TikTok, and I was like, dude, you do music? Like, let's link up. But yeah, so if whoever's watching this, you couldn't really hear the sound too well, but definitely check those out. I'm always I have a couple more I got to put up there, but that's what I pride myself on. A lot of people, they see me and they're like, yeah, your work's great. but I only have this amount of money. And I'm like, if it's worth it, this sounds kind of arrogant, but to me, if it's worth it to me in the sense of like, if there's a specific value that I think it's going to bring to me and your finances don't necessarily match up, because I mean, at the end of the day, you're paying me for all the equipment, for travel, for editing, which takes hours. So it's a lot. It's not just grab a camera, shoot, and your computer does it for you. It will in probably like 5 years. But I tell people all the time, like, don't worry about budget. Like, I love this enough and I have the passion for it that, like, just because you pay me $200, $500 versus somebody that pays me $10,000, like, you're gonna get like a high quality product, because at the end of the day, I'm a perfectionist, which is like a blessing and a curse when it comes to editing. But I'm a perfectionist, and I want to be proud of, like, because you're going to be posting that on your socials, and I don't know who's going to see that video from your following. So I definitely pride myself on, no matter what it is, I'm going to give it my all and try and be as creative and make sure that you get eyes brought to your page as well.
Yeah, that resonates a lot with me, because it's like, just because somebody might not have the funds, it's still a learning experience for you. Maybe this opportunity was brought to you to learn something, for something that's going to be elevated, later on. Like you said before, that video, you already knew how to shoot in those frames, so it's all circles back to each other.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny, because we were talking about that quote. That's kind of what I mean by that quote that I heard. I can't remember it verbatim, but essentially it was like the owner of the Texans, or a football team. He was like, you have to want it badly, but not badly enough you'll do anything for it. And so that's kind of what I mean about that, is it's like, I have to factor in myself what the pros and cons are. Because like I mentioned, I have a daughter, and I have stuff, and I have a wife, and of course I left my career, but I'm also a husband and father. So that's kind of the stuff that I factor in. It's like, even if it's a small budget thing, like, it's not so much your vision or your music's not good enough. It's, I have to factor in, okay, well, it's going to take time away from my family, or you want me to travel like to South Carolina for no money. It's like, those are the types of things that I have to factor in, because it's a lot of moving parts to it. So as an artist, I think it's important that we do support each other, but it's also important to support yourself. And so I think that's what a lot of people lose sight of. And what I've like recently started hitting the point of being able to navigate that is knowing when it's okay to say no. And also like understanding that there can be a consequence to that. You can say no to somebody that wants you to, shoot a couple photos of their clothing line. You're like, I'm sorry, I can't, like, it just doesn't match up with my values or finances or whatever. And that person could blow up and become, a multimillionaire fashion designer. But that's the risk, and that's like the knowledge that you have to go to go into and understand, but that's kind of part of the game. It is what it is. I mean,
it is. Well, thank you so much for giving us some gems today. And by the way, what's for those who are interested in getting into videography, what is like a camera, or like, what would you say, like, if you started, go with this, like, to initially start?
I'm going to be cliche and say it's not the camera that makes it good. It helps. I mean, to get started, just use your iPhone. If you have an iPhone, use a Samsung. Like, there's plenty of people, especially like, just look at some of the things that people are filming on TikTok and like and Instagram, like how they're getting creative with just their phones. But as far as like, if you have a couple $1,000s to, spend on a camera, I'm a Sony guy myself. I shoot everything on my Sony a7S III. I think we all kind of get roped into like, I got to buy the newest, latest, greatest thing. But Sonys are great cameras. My camera's 3.5 years old, and I'm still shooting things that I think look great. So with that being said, you can get the Sony a7S or any of those Alpha series from like the 2020. You can probably get it for $1,500 used, or $1,000 used, depending on how damaged it's been. But Sonys are great cameras, and I would start there. But again, just doesn't matter the camera, just go out there and shoot. Just keep honing your skills and keep that passion alive. Don't let it die a couple times like I've experienced.
Keep it going.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your light with us today. It was a pleasure, and I hope that we'll connect again in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me. Thanks, everyone. All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for everyone for tuning in to Let's KeKe episode 8. And I'm just so excited and hope you was inspired to go out there and get creative. Like Austin said, just take a camera, take your iPhone, start filming. When you don't feel inspired, get inspired, and don't let that light dwindle and go out. Till next time, please like and share, subscribe. This is your community. This is created for everyone to be inspired and to network together. If you're interested in being on our show, you can email me at letskekeshow@gmail.com. Till next time, see you soon.